Welcome into another edition of the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Michael Chen. On the other side with me is Josh Keatley. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, and not much going on in Buckeye Nation. So what Josh and I talked about prior to the show starting is we're going to talk about a little bit of EA Sports NCAA college football. It is back, 11-year hiatus. If you were a sicko like myself, you still fired up your old Xbox to play the 2014 version. I just can't get enough of that game. I love the game. I'm so happy it's coming back. I'm of loss of words. Have you pre-ordered yours yet, Josh?
No, man. Here's the issue. I'm with you too. I still play the 2013 version. Go Akron, by the way, or Kent State. I'm sorry. They're not making it for the last gen, right? So if you got a PS4 or Xbox One like me, you got to find a way to upgrade. So
no.
And I don't play enough video games to warrant spending $500 on a machine, but
right, I get it.
I'm gonna have to, dude. I'm gonna have to. What are you, a PS5 guy or Xbox guy?
Yeah, I got both. I have a problem.
No kidding.
I'm definitely a gamer. Right now I'm playing a lot of MLB The Show. We're in baseball season, so as a guy who played baseball all his life, walked on to the team at Ohio State for a couple of years. I didn't play. I just sat around. It was fun.
Bro, you never brought that up before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to travel with the team. We got to play a couple big. We got to play in the Jake when it was still the Jake in Cleveland. Awesome. We played out in Houston in the Juice Box. Those are like some experiences that you can't you cannot simulate. Awesome. You can't simulate. I miss Roger Clements. This was 2003 I think is when we went to Houston. I missed meeting Roger Clements by literally like 5 minutes. Like he was like, because we got there early, to just get a feel for the stadium and everything, and he was walking around underneath where we were, and a couple of my teammates got a chance to meet him. I missed it though because I was trailing on the back of the bus because I was not important.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
But it was quite an experience. It's absolutely awesome. But back to EA Sports, man. So you haven't pre-ordered. I haven't pre-ordered yet. I'm kind of I'm debating. Obviously, there's like 3 tiers that you can pick from. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to spend extra money to get that extra stuff when I could just play the game and get it. So most likely I'm just going to get the standard version. I'm not going to get that $150 MVP version. I believe the standard's 60 or 70. And then they have a mid-tier version that's like 100. So
but it's all just virtual currency, right?
It's pretty much. You get a couple extra skins, some like experience points that you could throw on to whatever, but you can earn all that. You can earn all that as you play the game, which if you're like me, you're going to be playing it a lot. Day one, I might be we'll see. But it's something that it's a long time coming. The O'Bannon twins are the ones that kind of I wouldn't say ruined it, but ruined it for everybody else.
Are they twins?
Yeah.
I thought Ed O'Bannon. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe they are twins. They played basketball for UCLA. Realized that they weren't getting paid for their likeness, and EA Sports is like, well, we can't pay everybody, so see ya. Right. So the players are now getting like $600. They get a free copy of the game. I believe they're paying some of the like higher ranked players, which we will get to in a moment. I believe they're paying them a little bit more than that $600 flat fee. So it's back.
Yes,
it's back. Well,
we talked about that a little bit. There are certain people that are brand ambassadors, is I believe what they call them. So, and it's not necessarily just guys that are highly rated. It was like a lot of guys. It was like 40 or 50 guys.
Right.
And they were just basically given extra cash to promote the game. I think Quinshon Judkins was one of them. I think Will Howard was one of them.
Yeah.
Tyler Shough was one of them down at Texas Tech. Actually, I don't even know if he's at Texas Tech anymore. I think he's at Louisville. But that's my point. We were talking about Archie Manning was not one of those guys.
Right.
You think that that's kind of what caused the whole uproar for him to hold out was so he could get that extra money. But I digress. Yeah, man, I got to get a new Xbox.
No, I mean, it is what it is. If you want to play, you got to upgrade, and
Right.
it's at that point where you're just like, well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I'm super excited about it. I can't wait. It's just I'm like
Long time
lost of I'm lost of words right now because it's just
Long time coming.
it's surreal. Like
Yeah.
it's a game that I grew up playing, played it a lot. Always in dynasty mode. First
Yep.
team you're gonna pick, and people are gonna rag on me for this, but the first team I'm gonna pick is Ohio State. I'm gonna make them a powerhouse and
Oh my God.
continue. Yes, exactly. I know.
That's
I'm just gonna get a feel for the game, and then I'll pick a smaller school and hype them up. But it's something that I've been missing. I'm not a big Madden guy either. I'm not the biggest fan of Madden. I've never really have been.
Oh, Madden blows. Madden's awful.
I'll play it every once in a while. Like,
Madden's terrible.
I've got that, the Xbox Game Pass where, you pretty much get, you pay a small fee. I think it's like $10-15 a month. And you get like a whole cache of games that you can just download to your Xbox.
I have it as well, and it's $20, my dude.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Fuck
don't
that
know.
price.
It's just,
That
I don't
price
even look.
hike right in front of you.
I don't even look at the price. I'm just like, it's worth it. So you got all that, all those extra games and everything, and I downloaded Madden, and it's
garbage.
It's just not. It's just not what I was looking for. Not what I was looking for. And now with college football coming back, man, I'm so excited. I am so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be very cool. I actually wrote. I try to do this yearly. It's usually like a wish list. I guess this year it's actually real. But I wrote down an interesting conversation that was occurring on Twitter this week was people trying to debate over who's going to be a 99, who's not going to be a 99, who's going to be highly ranked, all that stuff. And anybody who watches and listens and reads our stuff on Buckeyes Wire knows that I have done many articles about the different rating system that NCAA football games have had over the years. A lot of people don't know this. The first college football game that was published by EA Sports, I believe it was actually called like Bill Walsh's football.
Something
and it was
like
called,
that, yeah.
It was called Ohio. I think that it was God, man, I can't remember who the quarterback would have been. But there was no rating system. It just had grades like this guy A.
Just dudes.
It was three. It was three things that they graded, and then you eventually started to have numbers, but the numbers were for 5 different things, and there was no overall. Overalls didn't come into play until 2002, which is actually kind of funny because if you go back and look at Orlando Pace or Andy Katzenmoyer, those guys, their NCAA ratings, again, there's no overall, but they would have 100 and pass blocking or run blocking. It's kind of cool to go back and look at those. But yeah, during the early phases, there was 99s were very rare. And then you had that big boom in the mid 2000s where they were giving out 3 or 4 99s a year. And then right as it shut down, 2013, 2014, those versions had I don't think there was any 99.
I don't remember seeing a lot of 99s. And even when you get into dynasty mode and you get that 5-star, he comes in as an 86 or an 87, those guys never really hit 99 either. They'd get 98, 97. Be like, all right, that's good.
It was harder in the later games. The last 3 years, they kind of spaced that back out. Based off of what I have heard, that's kind of going to be the mindset for this year's game too. There's not going to be a whole lot of 99s, if any. But yeah, I wrote down a couple that I thought would be ideal. Did you want to hear them? These are we can go wherever you want with it. I got plenty of ammo for whatever you
real
want to
quick,
take this conversation.
as we were talking previously before the show started, let's go over some of the like potential aspects of the game that have kind of
Sure.
been leaked. So there's not going to be mascot mode. If you remember, you could play as mascots. Like everyone was a mascot, right? Like
Yeah.
the
They would do
Stanford Cardinal,
backflips and spin moves and stuff.
the Stanford Cardinal was always like my favorite one to play with because
It's a bushy tree.
it's just a bunch of trees, right? Like like that was fun. So that's not going to be in there. The gameplay is going to be different than Madden, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
As we just talked about before, neither of us are fans of Madden, and
No, it's awful.
to have different style of gameplay actually, I think works in their favor. Helmets getting knocked off, I think that was debunked. So that's most likely not going to happen. There's no BCS option in the Dynasty mode, which I'm perfectly fine with. That's no big deal. No college game day, which, if you remember in previous versions, they had a semblance of game day, like leading up to the game. Yeah,
I do not care about that. Not
right.
one. I don't watch game day in real life, dude. So that's
right.
not.
They have custom playbooks, which I think is pretty cool because like you used to be able to like pick like spread offense or power run offense, whatever. But now it seems like they're going to have more specific offenses towards what the actual schools run, which I think is really cool. There's going to be a ticker at the bottom of the screen, which I believe the ticker was there previously, if I'm correct.
So are the custom playbooks. The custom playbooks never really worked right. Like
yeah.
if you could go in and make your own playbook,
yeah, you could make your own. Right.
Yeah, it would kind of freeze out and not let you out.
Right.
If you had like, it was weird. Whatever. We don't have to go into detail, but hopefully it's more fleshed out. I don't really use that stuff anyway. So
right, yeah, me either. 5 stars are gonna have a different feel than 2 stars, which I think is really cool. I don't know if they're gonna have like tags or badges, or because that's like kind of how Madden works. It's like you get a badge and the player's more likely to like pick off a pass or break it up or some stuff like that. Like hard hitter or like interceptor or some crap like that. Like I think that would be pretty cool to see how that works. And on top of that, there's going to be more equipment than Madden, which that to me that really doesn't matter. You could care less about that. What I'd like to see is a bunch of alternative jerseys. I love the alt jerseys, like because I think in the last version, I believe there's one alt jersey for some teams, but not every team. Obviously, the big teams had them. I really hope they pull all the stops and have multiple. Like Oregon's gonna, like just as a good example, Oregon should have like 8 million alt. Like it should just be that way. Because I think that would be really cool.
The big question as far as the jerseys go is you typically with when we left off at NCAA 14, that was the hype of the Nike Vapor era. Right. If you guys remember the Vapor era with the what was it called? The webbing and the little badges. The Boise State one had the little Bronco stuff like that. Ohio State had different versions.
Yep.
Right. Ohio State had the 1942 version.
Yeah, I think I got a jersey with one of those on there. Yeah.
Yep. There's they had the 1942 jersey, which was the red one when the fancy number. I think Terrell Pryor was the quarterback that year, and then there was a year where they were white and they had this gray webbing on the shoulders. So we were kind of at the hype of that. I don't think it's gonna be as relevant for Ohio State because they're still Nike. So one would assume you'd still be able to use those classic uniforms. A sports game that does a really cool. Like the really in-depth details for the jerseys and going back and not leaving anything off is the 2K series, the NBA series. Sure. So hopefully they do that. So if you're, if I'm trying to think of a good example, but if you're a team that maybe is a Nike this year, Maryland would be a good example, right? Because back in the day, before they were Under Armour, they had Nike jerseys and they had the big white thick. The thick sleeves. Like hopefully they're able to incorporate that, even though the jersey companies are different, the contracts are different. I'm with you. I want as many jerseys as possible, historic jerseys, all that good stuff.
I want them all.
Right before that game shut down, if you remember NCAA 14, some of the jerseys that came out that year during the season, I think Hawaii was one of them too. You could go in and buy.
Yeah,
if you remember
I believe so. Right.
I would assume they're going to try to,
Yeah,
steal our money again.
there's definitely going to be like pay to play stuff in the game. Like 100%.
Yeah,
That's just how all games are now. It's like, you want the extra stuff, you got to buy it, or you got to log 20,000 hours.
Hopefully it would be nice if they kept the pay to play stuff to the ultimate teams and shit like that, the online stuff. Something like jerseys. Like if I'm an Ohio State fan and they whip out a sweet ass nighttime jersey or a sweet jersey against Oregon, I would hope that EA Sports would give us the grace of just giving that to us for free in the game, updating it. But hey, who knows?
Yeah, who really knows? Who really knows?
The biggest question that I have is: are white people going to be able to have long hair?
Oh boy,
because that was not a thing.
I don't remember that.
I'm right though, right?
I do believe you are, but yes. I don't specifically remember that, but yeah.
You don't remember that? No. Oh my god, dude! I would be like, where's none of the white characters had long hair. I think in the older NCAA games, if the guy had long hair in real life, his character would have long hair, but you cannot create a white guy with long hair. I don't know why. Hopefully they get that fixed. With the likeness, all that deal going down.
It's got to happen.
I've never wanted Quinn Ewers to have that mullet so goddamn bad, because they showed him in the trailer.
Bring it back, Quinn.
All I could think about when the trailer dropped was, God damn it! If he had long hair, I would have my answer, right? Because they would have shown it. But I can't tell.
Yeah, they can't. But speaking from Ohio State point of view, let's go like positions and let's say what like 90 plus is the goal, right?
Okay.
When you're playing, you want your 90s, right? The 90s are those dudes. The 90s are the good players. Okay. And let's just go through. Let's start, and I'm just gonna look like it looks like it's gonna start on defense because I just went to the 24 roster. On the OhioStateBuckeyes.com. And I'm just going to start at the top. So cornerback. No, go ahead.
Did you want to do like guys in general in the Big Ten that we think are going to be ranked higher?
We'll get to that. Let's get to that in a minute. Let's go Ohio State guys first. Let's go Ohio State guys first, and then we'll get to who we think are going to be like the highest rated guys in the Big Ten.
So do you want to take turns? You tell me who your highest rated Ohio State guys, and I'll go next and what their rating might be.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think let's go position by position and say which guys we think are going to be 90s. Let's go that way. Let's go that way. So corner.
Quarterback.
Yeah, corner. I've got two that I think are going to be 90s. It's Denzel Burke has to be a 90. 100%. I think he's probably closer to like a 95 ish. And then I think Davison Igbinosun, I think they're going to give him some love. I think he'll be like right on the cusp, 90, 91. And I think those are the two guys that, to me kind of stand out from that group. And I think they're going to be the highest rated players on that group. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I got Denzel Burke as a 94. That was my
close. We're close.
Yeah.
I said 95.
I don't think Igbinosun hits the 90s.
What do you think? Like 87, 88?
I think that's more fair. I feel like 87. I mean, even like an 89 would be okay. Those 90s.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's on the cusp. He's right there.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, how they rate these guys, what everybody has to take in consideration when you're trying to guess these ratings is a lot of times they'll either juice up the other position groups to make the team better because they're like, what they'll do is they'll rate them based off of what they think, what the guy plays like, yada, yada, yada. And they'll be like, oh, shit, Ohio State's too good. And then they'll start going in and balance Ohio State's not good. You saw it when I think it was Simon Frazier was like a 97 one year.
Why?
And you can kind of tell that it was because I think Will Smith was like a 99 the other side. It was one of those defensive ends, and you could tell it was because they clearly were like, okay, Ohio State's not good enough. Where are they usually good? Let's make this guy higher. I think that Ohio State's going to be so good in this game that they're going to have to cut back.
They're going to have to bump some guys down.
Yeah, but they can't do it Denzel Burke because he's a stud, right? You can't. There's just certain guys you can't do.
First round draft pick. He's a stud. He's
I feel like a 94 is pretty fair, right?
He's got to be in there. All right. The next position group that comes up is defensive ends. I think this one's pretty plain and simple. You're looking at Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. They have to be 90s, like 100%. I think if I had to guess which one's going to be higher, I'd probably say Sawyer, just due to production. Just due to
Really?
production, but but I think they're both mid 90s. I think there's, they're 93s, 94s, 95s. I think both of them are kind of right there.
Yeah, I gave JTT a 94. I have him as the highest. Did I give him a 94 or 95? No, I made him a 94. I have him as him and Denzel are the highest rated Buckeyes. Do I have any other?
Really?
Yeah, they're the highest rated Buckeyes in my eyes. I gave Jack Sawyer a 92, so we're also very close. I figured that JTT, a mixture between his recruiting ranking and that Penn State game, is basically his Jadeveon Clowney Michigan moment. So I feel like that's going to give him the bump over Sawyer. But yeah, there's just both those guys are going to be in the 90s. I feel like they'd be entirely disrespected if they aren't.
Right. Defensive tackle, do we have any 90s? I would say maybe Tyleek. Maybe. I think Ty Hamilton is right behind there. I think he's like mid to high 80s type of guy, but I think Tyleek could potentially hit that 90-91 range. I think he's close. What do you think?
I make Tyleek a 90. Tyleek's good. Tyleek's a 90. Yeah, he's going to be one of the why not, right?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to look at it that way. We're going to glance over kickers because we don't really care about that. Linebackers. Do we have any 90 linebackers? I don't. You do. Who do you have? Because I don't see one.
I have Sonny Styles as a 91.
Really?
Another thing that they used to, in those college games, what they will do is they'll do anticipatory ratings. So a guy that likes
Sonny Styles, he's not even projected as a starter though. That's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see it. Like, I think that they'll I think you'll probably see Cody Simon is like 84, 85, right? Gabe Powers maybe an 81, 82, because those are projected starters. That's the thing. I just don't, because if he was a projected starter, I could see it, but he's not. Like, nobody believes that he's going to start. He didn't take the job. He didn't run with it.
I think that every year that in that video game's existence, there's always these guys that are just kind of odd and in.
Sure.
Sonny Styles is a guy that has a ton of hype. He's got so much hype that even in the national media, they're aware of it.
Okay.
I would think that that's a guy based off his size, speed, and strength that I think that they're probably going to make a 90. It's more sexy to make him a 91 and make a guy like CJ Hicks lesser rated because he's just your standard linebacker. I also feel like with Travis Hunter being on the cover, it makes him I think there's going to be something weird with the roster organization where you can have a versatile stud or something like that, and Sonny Styles fits that role pretty well. But I don't know. That's a lot of me guessing because you're right. I mean, what you're saying is all facts. What I'm saying is all guesses.
Right. No, I think that's legit. Offensive line, is there a 90 in that group?
Donovan Jackson, I gave him a 93.
Okay.
I mean, that was guy who's All-American at one time.
I think so too. Josh Simmons, I think he's close. I think he's like 86, 87.
Sure.
They might give Josh Fryer like mid 80s, 82, 84, 85, somewhere in there.
Those guys are all guys that they're going to move around based off of how they feel the unit. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say because I think the developers are just going to slap numbers on them and make the unit how they see fit. They probably have some number in their mind. We want the Ohio State offensive line to average
X
85 or whatever.
Yeah, that's the number I was thinking. Actually, yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, on to the offense. Quarterback. I mean, you gotta think that Will Howard's going to be a 90. I don't think he's going to be a super high 90. I think he's closer to that like 91 range, 91, 92.
I don't think he is.
You don't. Where would you have him?
I'd have him in the 80s.
Like high 80s, 88.
Sure.
89.
I'm cool with 88. I just don't. There's what do you? Okay, so let's. What are you gonna do? So if you can't rate every single skill position player on Ohio State's team a 90. First of all, second of all,
I agree with you.
You can't make Will Howard and Devin Brown 90, right? Because you have to make them close. You can make it.
I think Devin Brown's closer to an 85. I think Will Howard clips that 90.
there's no way that they're going to give them a 5-point gap. Right? Plus, what are they going to rate the kid from Kansas State right now?
Yeah, I don't know. 84?
Because that guy was that, but he has to be close to what Will Howard is, because Avery Johnson, they were talking about Avery Johnson playing over Will Howard before Will Howard left.
Right, he kind of wrestled the position away from him.
It's just a huge domino effect. I don't think you can rate him that.
Yeah, I don't, I get where you're coming from. I definitely do. All right, let's move on to running backs. I think this one's fairly easy to say who the 90 is going to be. But how high? So Judkins, 92, 93, and then Travion.
Nailed it.
Travion, probably the same, I would think. I think they're low. I think they're both low 90s, but they're in the club.
You can see my notebook, dude. I gave them both 92.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Both 92. I mean, I looked at them and I was like, same thing we talked about with Will Howard and Devin Brown. You have to make them similar, right? You have to, because they're both in real life. They're going to get the same amount of carries.
Yeah.
But they're both elite backs. But you also can't make them too high.
No,
because that just makes the offense crazy. So
just crazy good. I mean, it's going to be good, but is it going to be crazy good? I apologize for this. The roster flipped over to safeties. I think this is pretty easy. You kind of talked about one already, Sonny Styles. I think the other one is very clear. It's going to be Caleb Downs. That's why when you said that you had those other guys as your highest, I think you missed. I think you missed on this one. I think Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is going to be like a 95, 96.
Okay, here's the issue with rating him that high, though. He's a sophomore.
But he was an All-American, and he led Alabama in tackles as a
is there another
freshman.
Wait, I should have done the research beforehand. I would be interesting to see what a sophomore, what the highest rated sophomore NCAA football history was.
Sure.
Because he's going to be right there.
Yeah. He's going to be close.
I can't.
He's going to be close. I just think he's like that elite. He's just that talented. I think he's going to be a 90, 100%, right? Has to be, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's fair. I just don't think you can make him. I don't think you can make him higher than, I don't know, a 94.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking about him being he's going to be a 99 halfway through the season.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work either. Are they going to boost him up? If that's the case, then I'll probably rank him a little bit lower. I don't know how that's going to.
I mean, I would assume there'd be. Well, that's funny too, because that game has evolved with that too. There was a portion where the ratings would go up and down based off of their weekly performance. Then there was a time where the ratings would stay stagnant all season long. Then there was
I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, then he's probably going to be a little bit low. But
I would assume
if it's just flat, I think he's in 95. 95. Tight ends, we don't have any, right?
No, not in the 90s. No way.
Wide receivers, I think this was pretty obvious. It's Emeka Egbuka. How high though? I'd say 92.
I said 93, so we're close.
Okay, yeah, we're right there. The big question is where are they going to put Jeremiah Smith?
Well, your freshmen back in the day were, I think the highest rate. This is also fudge. Man, I'm really kicking myself for not looking that up. I believe that the highest rated true freshman in video game history was an 85.
No, I've seen 87s.
Really?
Yes.
Real?
No.
Real or like recruiting?
No. Like recruiting.
Yeah. What would you know what the highest rated one was in like that?
So like start like a base? No, off the top of my head, no. But I do remember like going through recruiting and like you get the number one ranked recruit out of high school.
And he'd be at 87.
And he was at 87. I looked and I was like, wait, what? Like usually they come in like 82, 83, right? Like like the best ones do. And I was like, holy crap, 87. Like that's just absurd.
I don't think you can make him at 87. I think that the
No,
highest
I don't think so.
he's got to be an 85 at the highest.
He's definitely in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think on the lower end of the 80s. But yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think like 81, 82, 83, somewhere in that range, I think is perfect for him.
Yeah.
Is Carnell, would they make Carnell Tate a 90? I don't think so.
God, no, you can't.
Right. I mean, he's in the 80s for sure, but he's not
You
a
could
90.
There was one
Now the
year.
question is Tate higher or lower than Jeremiah Smith?
Higher.
So if we're saying Jeremiah Smith is say an 82, right? So
Yeah.
what is Carnell? 80?
You can make him 83.
You think he's better?
I think you have to make him better if you're a developer, right? Because okay, first of all, the recruiting rankings weren't that different, right? And now a guy's actually played a little bit.
Right.
And they're not seeing the same hype as you and I, right?
No,
it's done.
of course not. Right.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see. It's going to be interesting to see who's the highest rated freshman.
Jeremiah Smith, he might be the highest rated freshman in the game, but he's not going to be heads and shoulders above like who's the quarterback that went to Florida?
Rashida?
No, that's last year's class. Who's suing him now?
Right.
TJ something. I don't know. Whatever. That's bad. We're talking about college football. We don't know.
Well, we don't pay attention to Florida. That's why.
That's embarrassing.
I don't pay too much attention to SEC recruiting, to be honest with you.
DJ Lagway.
Right.
That guy's getting the same amount of hype, so he's probably going to be in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be like 5 freshmen with that same kind of, the kid from the offensive tackle at Colorado. That kid's going to be in the same tier.
Jordan Seaton, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Those guys are all going to be in the same tier. So you can't make that tier too high. You can't make that rating too high, or else it's just going to have a domino effect.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. All right. I think that's it. I think we covered them all.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going over my list, but yeah.
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 You know what? Since we're talking about freshmen, let's go ahead and let's take a look at who the highest rated freshman was from this year's class, because I'm curious.
In the video game?
No, just in real life. So the highest, well, obviously Jeremiah Smith was the #1 overall player. So, they've got a corner, Ellis Robinson, going to Georgia. He was the #2. Oh, this is according to the 247 composite.
Ellis and that's probably who they're going to use.
Right.
Right. They have a history of using 24/7 Sports for their prior ranking.
Ellis Robinson, a corner, going to Georgia. #2 player in the country. We talked about Langway. Let's just go through the top 5. LJ McCray, defensive lineman, also going to Florida. And then wide receiver Cam Coleman going to Auburn. So,
so those guys are all going to be in the same tier.
Yeah. Right. 90s.
Jeremiah Smith is going to be rated maybe 1 point better than that kid.
Yeah. I think so too. I think so too.
There's just certain rules you have to follow.
Right. Yeah. You just can't go too crazy with some of those guys. You just can't. You just can't. All right. Before we get into who we believe is going to be the top rated guys in the Big Ten, we got to talk about the cover. Right?
Yes.
We got Quinn Ewers. Right? We've got why am I blanking on his name from Colorado?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I'm just blanking. And then the odd man, Donovan Edwards. I don't understand why you have Donovan Edwards. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just doesn't. What are your thoughts on Donovan Edwards being one of the cover athletes here?
I want to be very clear because I'm already received some hate for what I said. I have no problem with a Michigan guy being on the cover. A Michigan guy should be on the cover. They're at the top of the college football mountaintop right now. But
Sure.
Donovan Edwards is not the guy. The guy that if I was a Michigan, if I was picking the cover athlete and you said, hey, you had to pick a Michigan guy, it's Will Johnson. Will Johnson is amazing. Will Johnson's probably, that's
I
one of the
don't
guys.
disagree. I wouldn't disagree with that. Like,
dude, the guy's insane. Why would you pick Donovan Edwards?
That's what I don't understand. I agree with you.
Because he's not going to be rated in the 90s.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense.
They picked the wrong guy. Like, I get it. Give them love. Yeah. They won a national championship last year. I completely get it. I'm not complaining about the fact that there's a Michigan player in the cover. What I'm complaining about is who they chose.
Donovan Edwards is not good.
It's just odd. Like, the guy wasn't even a starter. He's had like 2 or 3 good games. Like, come on here.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Now, a little bit of information on this. The Rob Jones, who's the senior production director, is a huge Michigan fan.
Is that a fact? Do we know that's a fact?
It is a fact. It is a fact. 100%. Okay. I've seen it. I've seen it on multiple sources. And there was, as you wrote on Buckeyes Wire, there's a little bit of troll job to the Buckeyes in that trailer, right? The two.
Well, should we go through a step by step the trailer?
I mean, we don't have to. We could just. I mean, just the two. We'll just talk about the 2 instances for the Buckeyes, right? I mean, come on. They gave Kyle McCord love before
3.
There was 3. I thought it was just Donovan Edwards stiff arming a Buckeye, and then Brutus bouncing his head.
Well, no. So there was 3 troll jobs, right? So they showed Donovan Edwards stiff arming Ohio State guy. Which when I saw it, thought, who cares? Whatever. Right. That's the game you're riding the Donovan Edwards train. That's the game you're gonna pick.
Right.
Okay. Conspiracy level 0. The next slide is Kyle McCord in the Syracuse uniform. Okay.
Right.
Again, Syracuse has a sleek aesthetic. They play indoors. You're trying to show a dome team. There's not a whole lot of dome teams in college football.
No.
Okay. Conspiracy level still 0. Fine.
Sure.
But then you have Illinois raising the Illinois trophy at the end,
beating the Buckeyes 56-50 or some crap.
A trophy that they haven't won since 2009.
Yes. Someone
made that decision.
Yes.
Someone 100%. Made that call. That's 100%. A troll job. Conspiracy level 10. Yeah. That's a troll job. That's a troll job. Someone picked out that aesthetic, that trophy. It's not a cool trophy, right?
No.
Illinois does not have a cool aesthetic, right?
No brown jug would be much cooler.
Dude, they haven't won it in 20 years. It doesn't make any sense, dude. Doesn't make any sense at all.
No sense at all. So yeah, you're right. There's 4 troll jobs to the Buckeyes on there. No players getting any love.
And Quinshawn Judkins is in the background. Right. And I also think that was kind of now that we're getting conspiratorial here, I also think that was a little bit of a troll job too, because you had to include in Ohio State, right? Because they're a football powerhouse, right?
Huge.
Just like they had Carson back, and it's
top brand in the country, man.
Yeah. They have to. So if you don't like Ohio State and you are forced to pick one of their players, who better to pick than the guy who's never taken a stab for Ohio State?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of
I didn't even think about that way. I think I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that way.
Yeah,
Trevion Harrison probably should have been it, right?
Or
JT.
Right?
One of those guys.
I'll get you JTT, but yeah.
Right. No, I think I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think.
Yeah, man, it's just weird.
So
it's really weird.
Just this Rob Jones guy just gave the big FU to Ohio State.
It's weird. It's weird.
It is. It's just so odd. It's just so. All right, let's get into who we believe are going to be the top-rated players, non-Ohio State players in the Big Ten.
Okay.
My first guy, and I think we're probably going to agree on this. It's got to be Dylan Gabriel, right?
Really?
Are we disagreeing on this?
I am disagreeing with that. I got Will Johnson.
Okay. Well, Johnson.
I mean, Will Johnson is. I don't know. I guess I assume
What do you put him at?
like rating wise,
Yeah,
like 98.
I think that's too high.
Really? I mean, that dude's
Yeah,
lights out. The only
I think
time
I think
he
he's
was
like
was
a
Marvin Harrison
95.
Jr.
I think he's a 95, 96.
Really? I
Yeah,
mean, because
he's a junior. He's a
yeah,
junior. We were talking about this. We were
so
talking about
gone.
this earlier too. You can't just boost him up that high because
But
you're.
a junior, you can because he's going to be gone,
Yeah, I don't.
right? You don't have the fear of him being a 99 for 3 years straight.
I mean, so then he has a couple good games, and he's just a all world
Yeah,
dude.
they've done that before. They did that with Jadeveon Clowney. They did that with Johnny Manziel. They did that with shit.
Okay, all right, all
They,
right.
they have shown no issue with. And I think Manziel was even a redshirt sophomore when they made him like a 96 or something like that.
Sure,
So
sure.
they haven't shown any issue doing that. I know I think Jadeveon Clowney was a legit 99.
Yeah, I kind of if I remember correctly, I think you're
Yeah. So I don't think they'll have
right. I
any
think you're
issue.
right.
But I mean, heck, I don't. He's pretty lights out. I mean, he's probably the best player in the Big. In my opinion, he's the best player in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could
I
definitely
don't.
see that.
I don't know
Where
how
would you
high.
put Where'd you put Gabriel on?
I don't know. I don't have him. I ranked my top 10 Big Ten guys, and I don't even have him on the list.
Ah, ooh,
I don't know. Like, how many quarterbacks do you have rated in the 90s? Because you got Shorter Sanders is going to be ranked higher, right? You got Quinn Ewers is going to be ranked higher, right?
okay.
Okay. You would think that Cam Ward would be ranked higher, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I think the problem with Cam Ward, I understand why you're making that noise because I agree with it. But the problem with Cam Ward is that he's so athletic. What are you going to do?
Right.
Right. Once you jack his speed up to 85 or 90, that dude is a 90. He's a 95, right? It's just how it's going to be. Carson Beck from Georgia, that dude's going to be rated higher.
Sure. Sure.
Then you can start talking. I guess at that point, then you would start talking Dylan Gabriel. Right.
But then, he's still probably a 95.
God, you think so? So you got 6 quarterbacks rated in the 95 or higher?
Yeah. It's not there's no elite guy coming out this year, but it's quality. There's a lot of quality in this quarterback class. There's a lot.
Let's write that down so we can revisit when the game comes out, because I think that's probably going to be the biggest disparity that you and I have. Is Dylan Gabriel and where he ranks.
Who else you got?
Mason Graham, defensive lineman from Michigan. I think he's probably going to be in the 95 range. You got him too.
You got two Wolverines as like your highest.
Yep.
Not Ohio State, right?
I got them higher than all the Ohio State guys on my list. Yeah.
Okay. I could make an argument that he's going to be up there, but not quite up there. I think, Abdul Carter from Penn State.
I got him on my list.
Right.
I got him on the list.
I think he's gonna be rated very highly. Jay Higgins, the linebacker from Iowa. I think he's going to be ranked very highly as well. Do you got him on your list?
I didn't have him on my list. You make a good argument, though. Iowa defense, there's always one. That's going to be one of those teams where they juice up the defense. So they're probably going to juice up a linebacker, right? So I guess that makes sense.
Right.
But I had Abdul Carter rated the same as JTT in the 94 range.
Okay.
Well, then I got Kenneth Grant, another Michigan defensive lineman at 94.
Sure. I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's tough. Where would you rank Nick Skirton from Purdue? Led the Big Ten in sacks last year with 10.
Yeah, but he's at Purdue. I guess I could. 92.
Yeah, I think he's up there. I definitely think.
I'm just trying to figure out the rating alignment. I guess that's probably where I'd have Dylan Gabriel too. Is around 92.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great.
Another Michigan player, Colson Loveland. Where do we have him? Is he in your list?
And he is not on my top 10 list. I would have him in the 90s, though. I would have him in the 90s, though, for sure.
Yeah. Let's go through the rest of your list because I think we touched on most of the guys that I would say are going to be pretty high up there for the Big Ten teams. Who else you got in your list?
Well, that's it from the Big Ten. I feel like guys like James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. I feel like he's probably going to be very high 90s. Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas. I think he's probably going to be in the high 90s. Will Campbell, another offensive tackle from LSU. I think he's going to be in the high 90s.
Sure.
If we're looking at Big Ten guys, I'm trying to think of who else would be rated that high. We didn't really talk about any USC guys.
No, I mean,
or Washington guys, and there's definitely going to be Washington and USC guys rated.
I agree, but like for USC, for instance, they lost a ton of talent, right?
I know that's the problem. Right?
What's their wide receiver? What's that guy's name? Who's a freshman
last year?
Awesome. Branch. Yes, I think he's going to be ranked pretty high. I bet he's like a 92, 93. Uh-oh. We lost you, Josh. But, when you look at the rest of the Big Ten, you're back. Unmute yourself.
Dude,
There you go.
Connection.
Internet man. But yeah, I think Branch will be ranked fairly high, right? Like he has to be, right?
Yeah. I bet they're highest.
Do you think Miller? Do you think Miller Moss gets a high rating?
No. Oh God,
I don't think he's in the 90s.
No, I don't think so. It's probably going to be like. No, I agree with you. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that USC. I think they're going to go through a transitional year. I'm not sure if they're really going to be as good as. I mean, they weren't really all that great with Caleb Williams, but I think that they're going to be going through a little bit of transitional period. With that one, I think they lost a lot. And
yeah.
I just don't.
I would assume.
I think they'll be good. Like
Washington, 85. USC.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. They're such an odd team. Lincoln Riley is one of those guys where, first of all, when he got hired at USC, I thought that was a terrible hire. I was like, no, that guy is an absolute bust. He's the Cliff Kingsbury of the NFL. He's just a very fun guy, very fun offense, young guy.
No defense.
But there's no substance, and there's no substance to what he does. There's no the same thing. I suppose other fans could say the same thing about Ryan Day, but it's like, dude, if the guy doesn't have an elite quarterback and a stud wide receiver, he's pretty much shit, right? Yeah. Which is an issue, right? Yeah. That's not a good coach. But he is a good, but that's too harsh because he is a good coach. He has won some close games. He has done, he has improved. I guess that's my point. I don't think he did anything with Oklahoma. I think everything he accomplished at Oklahoma is overrated. He took over a program that was very good, and he was stagnant with them.
He can help a quarterback win a Heisman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the same complaints I have about Ryan Day, I have about Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. But what he has done at USC, he has improved USC. So I do have to give him some credit there. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen this year. Because Caleb Williams was great, one of the best quarterbacks in USC history, but they were done with him, and he was done with USC. So I don't know if this dude has some swag and can put the team on his back. They brought in 85 new defensive coaches, and that was the biggest issue. They'll be an interesting team to monitor. I think Ohio State can beat them by 4 touchdowns, but you said 8-5, and I think that they are a team that could. They are a team that could potentially squeak into the playoffs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I could see that, but they had an opportunity to squeak in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and they choked against Utah.
Dude,
so
Uh, they're kind of like Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day are very similar. They just kind of just
very,
floating out here
very,
and coaching
very.
purgatory. You don't know if they're good. You don't know if they're bad. It's very hard. It's hard. It's hard to watch them. It's hard to predict them.
They are similar. They are similar. They are similar. All right, we got anything else on these rankings here?
No, I would assume Washington will be kind of the same way. There's going to be guys that are listed in the 90s that I maybe we didn't really discuss. Maybe some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen. But it's going to be because you have to, because you Washington is a very, very quality school. They have to be ranked high, right? You look at the Big Ten rankings of teams. It's got to be, if you look at the tiers, it's got to be Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Washington, and USC. All those teams got to be in the same tiers of the Big Ten ratings. I would assume. So what they're going to do, I don't know.
I think Washington will be good. Yeah, Washington's going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be great.
No, I mean they have Kalen DeBoer's gone. Right. Penix is gone. Their three best receivers are gone. Washington, and then they hired a coach whose resume is as long as mine. So I don't think that Washington is long for the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to find success anytime soon.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that. I think that they're going to have a little bit of struggles.
When Jed Fish left Arizona and he was unable to bring over McMillan, their stud wide receiver.
Yep, Tia Chora. Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of what I was like. Okay,
yeah, that's going on over here. What's wrong here, right? I mean, that's kind of what you look at. I mean, Will Rogers, I think, will be semi-highly rated. The transfer from Mississippi State. I think that
I loved Will Rogers. Rating. Yeah, Will Rogers should be rated high. He's not going to be rated high because he's coming off of injury, and I think that I don't think you can rate him high because you can't have that many quarterbacks up there. There's so many quarterbacks that you have to rate higher than him, right? It's a domino effect. But Will Rogers, now that we're talking about him, I wanted him more than Will Howard. Will Rogers is one of the most accurate passers in all of college football, and the world has not seen what that guy can do. He was on fire when Mike Leach was alive and around that offense. And then Mississippi, he passed, and Mississippi State did this weird thing where they're like, we're going to be a power offense now.
Yeah, right.
And it was you recruited nothing but 220-pound offensive line. They weren't built for it, and he just got destroyed.
No,
that's a dude who can sling the rock. That's a dude who can sling the rock that I thought Ryan Day was really going to be excited about.
And his transfer recruitment was very odd as well. He committed, was on the sidelines for the college football playoff games, and then he's like, you know what? I don't want to be here. And then you know what? I kind of want to stay. So it was an odd transfer recruitment for him. Like, I do think that he's probably their highest rated player.
I would assume. He's a fun quarterback. He's a fun quarterback.
He's very solid, very solid. Anything else on the game, Josh?
No, man. Just watch out for the white people with long hair, dude. That's really, really, really important. When I was 13 years old, I wrote a letter, an email to EA Sports about that. I was devastated. One of my favorite linebackers at the time was in the CFL, Bear Woods, played linebacker at Troy. He was like, the face paint, burly goddamn beard, white guy with dreads that went down to his back. I was just like, guy's cool looking.
Little program action.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just big old white dreads, too, dude.
Yeah.
Looked terrible, but I was like, come on, man. And Cole McDonald, you go back, Cole McDonald be another, what was that guy gonna do? AJ Hawk, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, AJ. Yeah.
So that'll be cool. They talked about the jersey tucks. That'll be cool. I don't know how they're gonna do that because you're talking about, skin tone is very hard. It's easy when you're talking about in the helmet because the helmet's covering it up, kind of.
Right.
But if the guys are tucking their jersey, that's gonna be very interesting how that works graphically.
Yeah.
You're a gamer. You know how sometimes the skin tone.
It looks a little odd.
Oh yeah,
it does. We'll see how well they do. I mean, there's technology has made a monstrous leap since the last version of the game came out. So
Yes.
they're going to
Yeah.
definitely be able to do a lot more things than we believe that they could do. So it's kind of a wait and see. We'll find out here in a couple months. But I think that you know
The
I
the NIL
hope
situation too. I don't know what they're going to do with the.
yeah. I don't know how they're going to work that. Obviously, the transfer portal is going to be included in dynasty
Yeah.
mode. I think that's going to be like, how are you going to navigate that? The NIL portion of it, right? Like, do you like have a bank of money and you offer a kid X amount and to
The
stay?
problem
I don't know how that's going to work. I have no idea.
I think that the problem with the NIL thing is that it's still such an unknown beast. I probably wouldn't even include it.
Yeah,
Just
it
have
would.
your guy.
I think it would make it. I think like if they do include it, I'd probably turn that option off.
Well, because no one really know. You and I cover college football. People pay us to talk about and write about college football, and
Right.
We've talked to a bunch of people about the NIL, and it's still kind of a mysterious kind of monster. We had Sheridan on last week, and
Right.
he gave us the most clear view possible. Well, he's a small part of it, right? There's still
Right.
these car dealers are giving free cars, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a problem with that in the video game. I think that would be cool. Like, hey, if you got a wide receiver and he breaks a record, he's like, oh, he just signed a deal with Dr. Pepper. That'd be cool. But to make you be able to allow you to allocate your funds, that's the part that weirds me out, because it's like we don't really know how that works. We have no idea.
No, and it'll be interesting to see if they put that in the game. It definitely will. It definitely.
Plus, most of that money goes to retention.
Right.
Right.
It does.
So if anything, I guess you could do something.
Is it NIL money just for like recruiting? Like, is that how they do it?
I guess what you could do
would that make the most sense?
Well, no, I guess my initial thought process was, if you're going to incorporate NIL, and we all know that NIL is more for retention than it is the transfer portal. What you could do is you could have, in the old games, you'd have a certain amount of points, right? Do you want to spend and you could spend those recruiting points. You could spend your offseason recruiting points. This was not in the latest game. This is way, way, way back. But you could spend your offseason recruiting points to convince guys to stay. I guess you could do something similar, right? So instead of recruiting points, you have NIL monopoly dollars or whatever, and you can allocate those funds to either keep your players or bring in recruits. Sure. I don't know, but I guess then you have to do the transfer portal. I don't know. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be difficult to navigate. We'll see how that works. Works. All right, we're coming to a close here, Josh. Let's talk about something that we're going to do since we're in the off season and things are kind of slow Buckeye wise. Over the next few weeks, not next week, because Josh has a announcement that he will make about that in a second. Over the next few weeks. Yeah, go ahead.
It's never slow for Buckeye news, because you saw where Corey Smith was arrested, correct?
Yes, I did.
Which sucks. I love him. I have such a. That's one of the guys I was very close with when he was in school.
Slower. It is a slower. Okay.
Yes.
You're right. There's always something happening.
We didn't even talk about Marcus Williamson last week.
No, we didn't.
The bank robber. We didn't even talk about that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's 30 for 30 on that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe another time.
Right. But anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do our top 5 all-time Buckeye position wise. I believe Josh and I talked. I think we're gonna start off with the safeties. It's not gonna happen next week because
we have a special guest join us next week in Colby Dant. You may know him as Pick Dundee of the college football experience, the UFL gambling experience, the CFL gambling experience. As you can tell, the guy gambles on football. He's a part of the sports. Yeah, he is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network.
I'm going to learn a lot next week because I am terrible at gambling.
He runs a tight ship, a great show. Definitely go check him out. They're part of the Blue Wire Network, I believe. That's a guy that I follow his betting advice very often.
Sure.
He's not afraid to pull punches when it comes to Ohio State. So it'll be interesting to see his point of view. I interviewed him earlier in the offseason about his stance on Ryan Day, and surprisingly, he was on your side in regard to keeping Ryan Day. But Colby is by no means an Ohio State lover. I promise you that. So it will be an interesting conversation from someone that I consider a gambling expert, and see what his opinion is on the Ohio State season coming up.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some over unders on season wins and grill them on those, because if I'm gonna put some, if I'm gonna do some betting, I like to do futures, and stuff like that. So, especially this far out, you can get some pretty good odds before some things happen. So, you can make a lot of money on those futures as well. So.
Yeah, I've already taken Texas to win. I've already taken Texas to win the national championship.
Really? What kind of odds did you get on
800.
that, Josh? 800? Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Plus 800.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's a smart play. It's a smart play. It's a smart play. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else, Josh?
No, thanks, David. Reached out last week, providing us his safety list that caused us an argument that resulted in us doing the positional groups. So, very excited for that. That'll be fun. Very excited to have people be on the show. Definitely check our workout at Buckeyes Wire. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Keatley 16. I am so sorry for not sharing the last podcast on social media quick enough. I'm going to blame myself for the lack of views and clicks. Some exciting news. My girlfriend is pregnant, so that has caused a slight delay.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
We can talk some dad stuff soon. Awesome.
Yeah,
man. I'm so happy for you. It's a life change. It's a absolute life changer, man. That's what
I hear.
It's like the greatest thing ever. It really is. Like being a father. Like I'm 5 months in, right? And it's just changed my outlook on life, like literally everything. Like it is a complete game changer. I'm so happy for you, dude.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be talking about
Of course, I'll get ask questions, ask away, man. Ask whatever any questions you have. I can help. Now, I will say this though: you can read all these damn books and you can look at all these damn things. And then your kid comes and you're like, well, this shit didn't work. What do I do?
Yeah, man. We'll see how that works.
It's going to be awesome. Trust me. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm really happy. Really happy. Any other news for you, Josh?
No, man. That was it. Like I said, I'll try to do a better job of sharing this one a little bit faster with it. So.
No, all good. All good. Well, once again, we appreciate your time. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeFChen. Obviously, read my stuff on Buckeyes Wire and read Josh's stuff while you're there too. And that'll be it for us this week. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.